I want to welcome everybody that's here, those that are on the internet. We have some new guests on the internet. And I'm just really excited today to do something different. And I'll talk a little bit about it, and I know that Angela probably will too. And that is to bring people together. Bring us together to realize that we're greater than what we quote unquote appear. And so today is about collaboration, about love, about understanding, and growing. So I'm going to let Reverend Angela speak first, and then I'll follow up with my half afterwards. So let's give Reverend Angela Geary a very well welcome.
Thanks, everybody. It's so lovely to be here with all of you.
Can we hear you?
Can you hear me? Am I on?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to stand right here like this. Okay, sorry. Thank you. Thank you. So, such a beautiful song. Thank you. And what is it that we just naturally and organically do? That's what came to me. And I think what's natural and organic and innate in us is to just love. That when all the walls come down, when all the grudges are left behind at the end of the day, when all those feelings or senses of separation have fallen away, what's left is what we do as we love. That's what we're born here for. You know, I love to say we're manifestations of love from the one heart itself. And that our heart beats in rhythm with the very pulse of the universe. And that love is the greatest power. And I want to thank Reverend Suzette for being love in action. Because love is an action word, and we talk a lot about it. And so love says there's room for everyone to shine. Love says this is our collective community, not this is mine and this one down the street is yours and this. Love says, let's collaborate. Love isn't about competition. So what we do is love. And so this morning to me feels like love in action, our innate potential coming through. So it's such a joy to be here, and it's such a joy to be with Reverend Suzette at this beautiful Om Center. And I want to say hi to my peeps and all Suzette's peeps and all the people that are getting on today on, is it Zoom we're on? Zoom?
Yeah, we're on Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're up there.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Hi.
They're over there.
Oh, they're over there. I'm looking at them. Where do we say hi?
Right, there's the camera.
Okay, got it. Okay, they got it. Okay, hi. All right. So you may have heard this story before. There's a story of a monastery, a failing monastery. And the monks are kind of grumpy, and they've lost their sparkle and shine, and they're sort of just shuffled through what they're meant to do without really being fully present. And the garden is overgrown, and there's weeds in it, and the actual building is failing. And it used to be a really thriving monastery, and people would walk by and admire it. And the abbot didn't know what to do. So he went out into the woods to meet with the wise woman. And he asked her, he said, you know, what do you think is going on? I can't understand it. We've lost our vitality. We're not expanding. We're stuck. And she sat for a while, and after a while she said, you know, I don't know what it is, but what I will tell you is there's a bodhisattva amongst you, meaning there's an anointed one. There's a holy one amongst you. And so the abbot went back to the monastery and related this to the monks and to everybody there. And everybody started perking up a little bit, like, maybe he's the bodhisattva. Maybe he's the anointed one. Maybe it's over there. And from that, maybe I'm the bodhisattva. And after a while, the monastery started thriving again. The monks became happier. They They took care of the garden. The weeds were gone. The flowers started to bloom, because that's what flowers do, they bloom. And the grass got greener, and the inside of the building got taken care of, and the monks were in communion again with each other and in love again with each other. And people started coming by, and the monastery expanded. And that, of course, is just a story of the unlimited potentiality that exists when we remember who we are. When we remember who we are, all is possible. So that's what I want to talk about today, that within us all is that full potentiality. We're born with it, just like all the potentiality for an oak tree lives in the acorn. It does. It lives within us. And as we remember this, as we return to this, as we build our spiritual practices and we think and we act and we feel in ways that are congruent and in alignment with this truth, that truth within us that we've always been, it emerges. We don't attract it from somewhere out there. It's already within us, just like the oak tree emerges from the acorn. The divine truth of love and peace and wisdom and joy and unity makes itself known through and as us. It's already there. The pattern of perfection, the seed of the divine, is planted in the seed of our soul. And instead of making it happen, we just simply allow it. Just like the flower just allows the flower to bloom. And really, any good gardener knows that it's not the seed that they plant that brings about the beautiful blossoming or the beautiful manifestation. It's the cultivating of the soil. It's the tending to and the nurturing of the soil that brings forth the blossom, the beautiful manifestation. And so for us, as we tend to the soil of our soul, the soil of our consciousness, through being love in action, through gathering as we're gathering today, through our meditation, our prayer work, our practices, through our affirmations, all these principles and tools that we have under our belt, right? Then the truth about us is released and realized through and as us. I had a quote from Joel Goldsmith said, Ernest Holmes, within us is the unborn possibility of limitless experience. Ours is the privilege of giving birth to it. Ours is the privilege of giving birth to it. Our potential, if you take one thing from what I'm saying, is to remember this in every hour, and maybe particularly in the darkest hour. Our potential is greater than our problems. Our potential is greater than our problems. Ernest Holmes says, there's nothing to be healed, only truth to be revealed. Nothing to be healed, only truth to be revealed. And while we need to do our inner work and excavate the false beliefs and doubts and fears that block us, more than that, because we can do that forever, we get out of the way and let that truth be revealed through and as us. It happens naturally and organically when we align our consciousness with spiritual truth. We don't have to strive. We don't have to effort. We just let it emerge. And we know that because the divine seed of spirit lives in us, then we are one with this field, this realm, what do we say, of unlimited possibilities and pure potentiality. So we don't get fooled by the world of appearances. You know, and the Buddhists, and we like to say in the spiritual circles that, the conditions and appearances and circumstances and problems of our life are an illusion. Well, they're real. You know, they're real. That's a challenging one, right? They're real. The illusion is the power we give them. The illusion is the power we give them. The illusion is thinking that these are the only truths that are going on, or that they're spiritual truth in the first place, right? We know that there's a parallel universe, a mystical realm that has its own laws, just like our physical world has laws. This mystical realm has laws that are not bound by time or space or matter. Anything is possible within them. We know in that realm, one of the laws or truths is that consciousness precedes form. So as we shift our consciousness, as we tend to the soil of our soul and our consciousness, our problems, our challenges miraculously go away. Because mostly, and maybe always, it's not the circumstances of our life that are needing changing. The circumstances of our life are calling us to change. They're calling us to change. They're calling us to let our roots, she says, up like this. Those would be branches. Roots would be down here. Well, to be rooted in the earth, but the branches of spirit to move up into that realm and know who we are in spirit. Doesn't matter what the doctor said. It doesn't matter what the bank, it does matter, don't get me wrong, but it's not the only truth. And we can't put all our thinking, all of our energy into what's in the bank account, what the doctor said, what's going on in the relationship. What we can know is what is steady and essential and true within us and within this mystical realm, the very mind of God, is that love is all there is, that this is an abundant universe, that there's cause and effect, that our thinking and our intentions and our prayer work can create miracles in our life, that we can shift things with the power of our thought, with the power of our intention. You know, there's that book by Mary O'Malley that comes to mind. It's called What's in the Way is the Way. What's in the way is the way. And these are challenging times. Collectively, personally, it seems like a lot of people are experiencing grief, heartache, financial struggles. It's in the physical realm on earth, maybe. Not so easy right now. So we're tender and gentle with ourselves. Everything is here by divine appointment. There are no mistakes in God. And I still put my faith, or I continue to put my faith in a power for good and a universe that wants only one thing, and that is to keep evolving and keep expanding. And maybe everything that's going on in our life and everything that's going on in the life of our country and on the planet is all part of that evolution. We are being called individually and collectively into a unity consciousness, into an energy of collaboration, of equality, of love, a returning to love itself as the greatest power. What if what you're dealing with right now, what is it that brings us to our knees, is the way? It's the way. It's getting our attention. and there's a higher truth to always be known. We don't look and say, what can't I do? We look and say, what can I do? We look and say, there's a divine spark within me, filled with courage and power and love and wisdom and joy. I have everything I need. We can, Carolyn Mace calls it defying gravity, you know, going to that other realm where miracles can happen. All right, let's take a breath. Derek Rydell wrote the book Emergence, and he talks about the emerging principle, that whenever we want to manifest or create something, we're not attracting it from out there. We're creating the soil and the conditions within our own being to welcome it in, to welcome it. So I welcome in the healing of this disease. I welcome in the abundance of money into my life. I welcome in love returning in this relationship, whatever it is. We make room for it. And he says we have to ask better questions. Not why can't I, why can I? Because question is the quest that we are on. The question is the quest that we are on. I love that. So if our question is, why am I always failing? We'll get lots of answers. If the question is, why does everybody leave me or betray me or fill in the dots, right? We will get lots of answers. Righteous judgment. Ask and you shall receive. We ask, what is the great vision for my life and what is this challenge, like I said, seeking to activate in me? We ask those questions. What is there a blessing and is there a gift in this? And often we don't see that blessing and that gift for years in something that's happened, right? Anyone had that experience? So at this stage in our lives, I think we can at the very least, have faith and trust that there is a gift and there is a blessing. Because we're loved by God, we're loved by the universe, and the things that happen to us are not punishment, and they're not our bad karma, although that's a whole nother talk on karma. But, you know, we can wipe out a lot of karma through loving fiercely. I love this. He said people who move into this realm that we're talking about, he says they turn their tombstones into stepping stones. And he talks about having a backbone, not a wishbone. Standing with that faith of God, Goddess itself, rooted in the knowing, with deep faith and conviction of who we are, who we've always been, and who we will continue to be, and where our source is, and where our power is. We affirm that. And when we live in that, we live in the unlimited potentiality and possibilities of spirit. Life is not personal. It feels like it sometimes. Sure feels like it. We have to be tender and gentle. And I don't advocate spiritual bypass, by the way. I don't advocate, oh God, I'm really hurt. But it's all good and it's all God. Like we can be with our feelings. We understand we're human beings as well as divine beings. But we can't stay there too long. We can't set up camp there. We've got to go to the spiritual truth. And the truth is we have a container within us big enough to hold the feelings that emerge, that need to be tended to lovingly, and the spiritual truth that we know. We have to remember both. So the principle, I think, here is that, you know, we're called to grow through our challenges. that everything is here by divine appointment, and the principle is that our potential is greater than our problems or our challenges. We live in that and trust that no matter what shows up. You know, some of you may know I was at a celebration of life yesterday for Reverend Kevin Busey's partner of 24 years, Tim Hepburn, who was an amazing guy. Made his transition really suddenly. And, you know, that's a tragedy, and that's sad. And we can't pretend that. But life is also infinite and ongoing. And we can also know that Tim has just gone back to the light that he always was and we knew him to be. That his soul is on to his next great adventure. That infinite light within him is free. So just an example of how we can hold both truths, right? Both truths at the same time. So we're here to serve what is emerging. What is emerging? It's a question. What's emerging through me right now? And what would I be, and what would I feel, and what would I do, and what would I think if I was already in that realm? So we just have to adapt, I think, new mental habits, or renew some of the ones we already have been doing and maybe slackened off a bit, right? We get back to, instead of what's wrong, what's possible. Instead of what I don't have, look how abundant I am. Counting our blessings. Practicing the attitude of gratitude. We feel deep, we feel into the feeling tone that we want to have manifest. You know, Ernest Holmes says in a spiritual mind treatment, that's our 5-step form of affirmative prayer, it's the feeling behind the treatment that causes the manifestation. It's not the words, because I can stand here and say, I'm so joyful. I am just filled with happiness and joy right now. And I can say that 10 times, 3 times a day, like a good little Catholic girl doing her work, right? I'm not joyful. But if I can breathe in and recall a time, maybe when I'm on my knees in sorrow or grief, when I was really joyful, and I can feel that in my body, and I can say, I'm so joyful. I give thanks for the joy that I am. I feel it in this moment pulsing through me. That, the universe responds to the feeling tone. Same with abundance. That's what gratitude does. That's what counting our blessings does. When we feel like we don't have enough, right? It gives us that feeling of it. And then being. We activate this consciousness. And everybody said about Tim Hepburn, what a kind, generous, sweet, loving, impish, you know, not a beautiful being, really, truly. And it's true, right, anyone? I mean, everybody said that. And the legacy that he left, because in our wonderful organization and in our wonderful churches, believe it or not, sometimes breakdowns happen. Sometimes there's arguments that don't always get resolved, or misunderstandings that don't always get resolved. People leave a center and go to another center. You know, right? We won't get into it all, but we'll do that another time when I know you better. No, I'm just kidding. But
It's true.
It's true. But what I was saying to Rev Suzette before is the beauty. Yesterday was everybody came. Everyone came. Everyone came to love Rev Kevin in his heartache, no matter what history they had. Everybody came to love Tim for the amazing guy that he was, whether they'd seen him in the last 5 or 10 years. Why? Because the infinite potential of love called us all there, to be there together in love, like no time had passed. was like a homecoming. And it was at Vision Center for Spiritual Living, and so Vision was part of it. It was beautiful and wonderful. It was love. And Tim was love in action. All the stories we heard were about him being love in action. So we practiced being love in action. Howard Thurman has a beautiful prayer and just a saying that always sticks with me. It's like, how can I be more loving? I want to be more loving in my heart. How can I be more loving? I want to be more loving in my heart. When we start the day with that. When we repeat that when the driver cuts us off. When we repeat that when we have a difficult conversation with someone. When we just keep coming back to that, we are activating this divine potential within us. So as we rise into that consciousness, our problems don't get solved, they just dissolve. Back into the nothingness from which they arose. We stand with a new consciousness. We stand expanded, open-hearted, ready to receive our divine and inherent birthright, the seed of love planted in us, living, and we water it, and we nurture it, and we cultivate it, and we tend to it, and we give all to the power of love this day. Thank you.
Wow.
Sorry, that was...